Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're breaking down a seriously fascinating conversation from the Valuetainment team. They recently tackled this massive cultural firestorm surrounding the casting for an upcoming movie adaptation of the Greek epic, The Odyssey. And wow, what starts as a heated debate over Hollywood casting choices quickly morphs into a deep dive into industry mandates, a genuinely tragic piece of behind-the-scenes cinematic history, and finally, a literal masterclass in audience monetization. So let's just dive right into this, shall we?
Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the Odyssey controversy, then diversity mandates, history versus mythology, some pretty wild gladiator CGI trivia, and finally, monetizing the audience.
All right, Section 1, the Odyssey controversy. Get a load of this cast list. We're talking massive Hollywood heavyweights here. Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Lupita Nyong'o, Zendaya, John Brunthal, Elliot Page, and John Leguizamo. I mean, that is stacked. But the Valuetainment hosts immediately pointed out a huge, glaring irony. The Odyssey is, at its core, a story about the emergence of Greece right after the Trojan War. Yet this phenomenally packed cast list reportedly doesn't feature a single Greek actor. Not one. And this casting didn't just annoy a few movie buffs. It literally reached the highest levels of the cultural zeitgeist. Elon Musk actually weighed in on social media with this exact quote. He explicitly called out director Christopher Nolan and what Musk described as a keenness to race-swap white characters. The original hosts used this tweet as a massive anchor for their own frustrations. They view this not just as an isolated casting choice, but as a deliberate and frankly somewhat exhausting trend sweeping through Hollywood right now. To really hammer this point home, the hosts drew a pretty stark visual and cultural comparison. Think back to the 2004 epic Troy. You had Brad Pitt, the quintessential hyper-masculine Hollywood action star, playing the legendary Greek warrior Achilles, right? Well, fast forward to today, and the hosts highlighted the rumor that Elliot Page might be stepping into the sandals of Achilles for this new adaptation. For the hosts, this contrast between the traditional historical depiction of the warrior and the modern rumored casting perfectly encapsulates the exact shift they're criticizing. So, to see exactly how their specific audience feels about this shift, the hosts ran a poll asking their viewers point blank, will you go watch this movie? The pushback was, well, overwhelming. A whopping 88% of their audience voted no, with only 12% saying yes. It's a really striking representation of the disconnect between mainstream Hollywood casting decisions and the expectations of this particular viewership. Moving on to Section 2, Hollywood diversity mandates. Now, pulling back from just the specific movie, we can examine the macro-level industry forces driving these kinds of decisions. Look at the 96th Academy Awards inclusion standards. To even be eligible for the Best Picture category, a film must now meet two of these four specific requirements: on-screen representation, creative leadership, industry access, or audience development. The host's argument here is that acclaimed directors, who previously cast highly historically accurate ensembles, are now essentially forced to check these diversity boxes just to remain in the running for prestigious awards. It's less about artistic vision, they argue, and much more about compliance. This brings us to Section 3, History versus Mythology. To present the other side of the argument impartially, the hosts brought up a fascinating point made by Sunny Hostin from the talk show The View. Hostin, who actually taught Greek mythology, defended the casting of Lupita Nyong'o by referencing the premise of a highly debated book called Black Athena. Now, this book argues that classical Greek culture actually owes a massive debt to Afro-Asiatic and Near Eastern roots. From this perspective, the idea that Helen of Troy could historically be portrayed by a black woman isn't some modern rewriting of history, but rather a reflection of ancient interconnected Mediterranean demographics. However, the hosts offered a very firm rebuttal to the Black Athena theory. They assert that traditional historical texts and primary sources directly contradict it. They argue that ancient Greek art, literature, and writers from Sparta specifically and consistently portrayed noble Greek women and Helen of Troy as the absolute ideal of Greek beauty, with fair skin, Mediterranean European features, and often lighter hair. It is an incredibly fascinating clash between modern historical reevaluation and traditional classical interpretations. All right, let's shift gears to Section 4, the Gladiator CGI trivia. Moving away from modern culture wars, the conversation fell into a deep fascination with Hollywood history, specifically exploring a truly tragic piece of cinematic lore. The legendary actor Oliver Reed was playing the pivotal role of Proximo, the gladiator trainer in the movie Gladiator. Before he finished shooting his scenes, Reed entered a local pub in Malta and got into a massive drinking challenge with some local sailors. Tragically, he suffered a fatal heart attack right then and there. This left director Ridley Scott in an unprecedented bind, forcing him to use what was then incredibly groundbreaking CGI to digitally graft Reed's face onto a body double just to finish the film. The host couldn't help but marvel at the grim, staggering details of that fatal drinking contest. According to the lore they discussed, Reed downed 8 pints of beer, 12 shots of rum, half a bottle of whiskey, and multiple shots of cognac before collapsing. I mean, wow. It's a dark, captivating piece of movie trivia that really highlights the chaotic, sometimes tragic reality that happens behind the scenes of the epics we see on screen. And finally, Section 5, monetizing the audience. 250. This number right here reveals the true business acumen of the hosts. After engaging the audience with cultural commentary and movie trivia, they smoothly used the upcoming 250-year anniversary of the United States as a powerful thematic anchor. Why? To sell highly exclusive, limited edition lifestyle gear under their Future Looks Bright brand. They are brilliantly capitalizing on a sense of patriotism and an upcoming national milestone to drive consumer interest. Their highly effective scarcity model works exactly like this. Step 1. They release a very limited run of this anniversary gear. Step 2. They openly predict and absolutely deliver on the fact that these items will sell out in under 30 minutes, creating massive urgency. Step 3. They even acknowledge that fans will immediately take these sold-out items to eBay and resell them for a premium. And you know what? They aren't mad about the resellers at all. They view it as proof of the brand's immense value and demand. It is literally a masterclass in transforming dedicated listeners into passionate, active consumers. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. From intense debates over the Odyssey to the tragic realities of filming Gladiator, we are left with a lingering, provocative question. When Hollywood casts ancient epics, where exactly is the line drawn between historical accuracy and modern representation? Are these new mandates stifling artistic truth, or are they correcting decades of exclusion? It's a wonderfully complex intersection of art, mandates, and modern social politics. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep questioning the stories you see on screen.